We are back. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for waiting. We are with Anthony Francisco, our guest, our last guest for today's Wacom Academy. We're wrapping up the day with the visual father or baby Groot. Anthony Francisco is a senior visual developer for Marvel Studios, and he has a long, long list of amazing projects. I'm not going to brag about him because he's right here. We have him right here. So I'm going to let him introduce himself. Hi, Anthony.
Hey, thank you for having me. And thank you everyone for
thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to everyone watching on the Wacom Academy chat for being patient. And thank you for those watching on Facebook and YouTube as well. Hello.
Yes.
Send us your questions. We're going to be chatting for a whole hour and a half or a little over with Anthony Francisco. He's going to walk us through some of the decisions and design process behind some of our favorite characters. And I believe you had a video you wanted to show us before anything.
Yes. Again, thank you, Elizabeth, for inviting me, and everyone watching Latin America. It's an honor for me to even be talking in front of everyone like this. I always love sharing the process, and if there's any questions anybody had to try to demystify stuff, it's always like a lot of hard work and learning through like I have a 20-year career now, 9 of which were at Marvel. So, but here's a little video a friend of mine made for me, just so it's easy to explain some of the other stuff I've done. And it is a bit emotional for me whenever I see it. So please enjoy. I'm going to play it for you guys now.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't push this button.
I'm Groot.
No!
Reference is not just a visual, it's a feeling. When I create these characters, I draw from personal experiences. There was a time when, things weren't so good in the Philippines. Walking to school with some friends, we saw a dead body, and it was very traumatic. Comic book became my outlet to see the world being saved by heroes. Charlie Wen, he got me in for Guardians of the Galaxy to do Aliens. And from there, my first main character that I got to work on was Baby Groot. James Gunn came to me. He wanted a really cute character, but to get me through into Baby Groot, I was heavily influenced by my kids. While I was designing Baby Groot, my kids were a big, big influence. The other characters I worked on is Loki for Thor Ragnarok, Hulk from Thor Ragnarok, Doctor Strange. In Infinity War, I did a lot of kind of cool stuff on that too, which I can't talk about. I also do keyframe art to help the director visualize the scene, from the lighting to the feel. So for example, Ant-Man, we wanted to show how the miniature world would look like. It's a crazy feeling that my designs are up on a big screen, and it's iconic now. Everyone's like cosplaying it. And I would have never dreamt that my designs could be that influential. And to top it off, to be part of the team that created Black Panther, the biggest superhero film of all time. And I feel so fortunate. I created Okoye, the general of the Dora Milaje, and Nakia's costume, which ended up being the Dora Milaje costume. And in the Philippines, we have a lot of warriors there, people fighting against colonialism. So the first thing that came to my mind for my inspiration was the Igorots, the Ifugao. Remembering the Igorot having the little sash that comes down and how that's built helped me design the costume for the Dora Milaje. the flexibility and the freedom to create is why I love art. Everyone's creative in their own way, and they have a lens that they see things and translate things. I hope I really get to inspire people and get to inspire people from the Philippines, because that's where I came from. And to know that no matter where you are in life, if you just focus and work hard, you will get to where you want to go. So there it is.
Thank you for sharing, Anthony. There's
Oh,
some
thank you
things
so
that
much.
only images can really describe.
Yeah, it's even now sometimes when I watch it,
Welcome back to New Rock Stars. I'm Eric
Oh,
Voss.
when I watch it, it's still kind of emotional, you know, when I see it, like, oh, that's where I came from and how far. Working hard, you know, it's like working hard and working smart really is how you do it, knowing what your goals are and just try to plan everything based on that goal that you have, you know. So I stopped partying too much, you know. I started drawing more and realizing that I shouldn't be playing basketball all day every day. Instead of that, I needed to like focus on my work, and what I love to do. But yeah. So.
That's amazing. That's amazing, because when I met you, I remember thinking, wow, this guy has the job that so many of my friends dreamt of having one day, you know, making those characters, making the characters that we all fall in love, turning them iconic, because a lot of these characters already exist in books, in older versions, but you get to reimagine them. And then when I got to know you, I also got to know a lot about concept design and
Yes.
the role of concept designers. And I really wanted to invite you to Wacom Academy to talk about concept design as a whole and the big impact it has on basically everything.
Yes.
Everything that comes after comes from a strong concept, and concept illustrators in the pipeline sometimes get forgotten.
Yes, that is so true. Sometimes there's some injustices that would happen where even the name of the artist that designed the thing or even illustrated is erased and replaced by someone who didn't do the designs. And that was even you know, doing this for 20 years, long time ago, I've seen that happen, you know. That's why we try to talk about our work as much as we can. So and mind you, this is not saying we did all the work. We just want to take credit for the work that we've done for the movie.
Absolutely. I want you to talk to us during this webinar about concept illustration and concept development, because it is such an intriguing side of the industry that doesn't get a lot of attention. And you are an excellent concept developer and illustrator. So
Thank you so much.
you told us that you wanted to show us some of, you know, your thought process in developing some of these characters.
Yes.
And a lot of it comes from your, you know, as we saw in your video, your background, your Filipino background, your heritage.
Yes, and a lot of it also stems from different emotions I've experienced through life, which, you know, of course, movies influence me a lot, fashion and music, you know, but sometimes just the experience of doing something tend to affect how you problem solve another thing. And just so everyone would know, when you do concept art, not only do you do the art, but the concept part is the problem solving part of it. That's very important, because the people that want to make the movies, they have an idea, and their idea cannot be seen until someone helps them solidify or visualize that idea onto paper, onto an image you can see. And then from there, they take your image and then they create it into a tangible object that you could wear, or you could ride, or you could a set that you could act in. And then after they take it to that, you have the actors that will take the writing into into a real person acting it out and make it feel real. And then all of these connect to each other to form another work of art, which is film, movies, and storytelling media, right? That's why I think before, when I was really into comic books, knowing how that's made and then how you could make your own story and your own art, and you don't need anybody else but yourself to create the story, from that way of knowing things to more of a collaborative effort in film, and it's such a awesome experience to grow and to meet more people, your artist peers that are, some of them are better than you, some of them are not as good as you, so you all kind of try to help each other to grow together. Most great leaders usually make the environment that the team is in a safe place to show emotion and to show a safe place to be creative.
Who do concept developers and illustrators work closest to? Who are they constantly working with?
It depends, because there's so many types of artists, right? There's storyboard artists, there's visual develop artists, there's like prop artists within the department or environment artists. So within concept art, there's an environment artist, a character designer, a creature designer, like when you specialize in this kind of stuff. But there's also some people that could do all of it, environment and characters and creatures and moments in the film. And to talk about Marvel Studios visual development, it's a team of artists, like really amazing artists, that help production realize their ideas and not only do characters and creatures, but also do keyframe art. And this keyframe art are moments in the film, like what you see on screen now. This is like a moment in the film that she grabs her weapon, and back then we were thinking it would transform, like Iron Man's armor, like her shoulder armor there, that becomes the spear. So that was an idea for this that I was trying to pitch, because we were trying to see how could we make them more techy. But so little problem solving like that is what we kind of what we're specialized in doing. I have a little bit of my background when I first started was creature design, so I just did all monsters in the beginning, and slowly while I'm working, I started to, I guess, realize that I needed to broaden my skill set to not just doing creatures, but also doing characters. And that's how I slowly grew. But in the beginning, I just focused on one. So that's the difference with working. Your question was, who do we work closely with? So since we do all that, it depends on which you specialize in. Let's say you're environment artist. Normally, those artists go into the art department, and you work with the production designer, because the production designer builds the sets, and then he'll need a guide to build the sets with. So you, as an environment artist, you kind of give options, like 2, 3, even 10 options on how a particular set should look like. And if you're a creature designer, you work with actually, I guess you work with the art department too, depending. Sometimes you work with the visual development team. But us specifically at Marvel, my position, I work closely with the director if he's available to be there. But mainly, we have a head of visual development, Ryan Meinerding. He kind of manages the whole department, and he would get the descriptions, and then he'll relay it to us, and then we'll take that and then we'll draw. So some of us have more guidance than others. In my case, I have, how do you say this? Some of my descriptions would be like, when I worked on Infinity War, the Doctor Strange versus Thanos fight. The description I got was Doctor Strange versus Thanos, an epic battle that we've never seen before. And then that's
it. That was it.
Yes.
And you had to come up with a concept from that tiny brief.
Yeah, which is what's nice about this producers and you know and the our leadership is that they know that that's what we want. The more you let us, me in particular, Limi, I'm known for really kind of getting big ideas. So if the description is too detailed, it's harder to become more creative, because then you'll have parameters. But sometimes in some situations you need the parameters, like for yourselves. You know, if as a student learning this concept art, sometimes making it so big is too difficult. So you want to make it kind of more manageable. Like I would say, when I was doing creature design, I would tell myself, I'm doing creature design for Men in Black, and it's for this kind of alien in the airport, and it's a sea creature alien, and it's you know. So then at least there's a goal that it's not going to be aggressive. It's more going to be like a aliens, what do you call it? Citizen, you know. So. But for this particular one with Thanos, since Thanos has, like, I guess they were telling me, another thing they did tell me is they don't know how many rings, how many gems he should have, but he should have at least 3. So which gems were those? I didn't know. So I did the reality stone, or which, you know, now I have to show you guys.
Please show us some of your early sketches. I promised the audience we would see some of your, you know, concept process, and obviously you want to see some sketches, how these characters and how they originated in your mind and how they evolved. I find it so interesting, and I know we have questions in the chat pertaining to your process, so it would really help to see part of it. Yes,
for sure. So this is when I'm talking about Doctor Strange, this is one of the keyframes I did. So the idea is really I was thinking of a black hole and a sun. If Thanos brought those things together and used the gravitational pull of the black hole to get all the flame out of the sun and direct it towards Doctor Strange. So this was one of the ideas, and based on that one description, right? And I still remember Ryan telling me that he knew I was going to have fun with this because you know, it's just my imagination just goes wild. It's almost like you're if you guys think about it, your success is only limited by how much you could, you know, imagine. So sky's the limit when you do concept art, but while keeping with solving the problem in hand. So this one, and then I don't know if you remember, when you watch the show again, you'll see like this glass thing go over Thanos and he breaks it.
And all this came just from, you know, that description.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fun. Sometimes, because you do versions, you have to do options for them to choose from. Sometimes I come up with a lot of options, like, you know, 5 different ideas. And I guess that's why I'm so proud to work at Marvel, because they actually use it. It's either, you know, I get lucky that they like the ideas, or it's actually really good, you know. But it just makes me happy to see it on screen. And this is the biggest idea that I pitched, was when I pitched for, remember the scene where Thanos breaks the moon in half, or not in half, it breaks it in parts and rains down the rocks on Iron Man? You remember that scene?
Yep.
Yeah, the battle on Titan. This was the idea.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was saying, oh, these little rocks, he would open up portals and take the Halley's Comet out of orbit. He would break the stars, or the asteroid belt that surrounds our universe, I guess, and teleport it back down and rain it over. But this is Doctor Strange right now, because in the beginning it was just Doctor Strange. And even some of the shapes of these rocks were used in the movie itself. It's not even a lot of detail, but I try to still get the silhouette clear. You know?
When you start creating these, do you jump right to digital, or do you sketch these on paper before you jump?
For this particular thing, I actually wrote stuff down first, you know, because sometimes the ideas are coming so fast that there's no time to draw it. So you have to write it down first to remember it. That's with my mind anyway. And it takes some practice getting used to. In the beginning, it's so hard to come up with ideas. But once you have a system going in your head where you, or what I do is when I think of one little event, and then I think about how I could multiply that event by putting it in other scenes and other like superheroes or other environments, you know, like Doctor Strange, like the idea of Thanos throwing rocks, right? It's first started out as you're on Titan and they're fighting. Actually, I didn't even know where the planet was. That's why I couldn't understand. Are they fighting hand to hand on Titan, or are they in space? Because if he has these powerful rocks, you don't even need a planet to be on. You could just be fighting in space. But then, that might be too much for the visual effects, right? Sometimes I'm thinking about how much it would cost. But then that's why I would have 2 to 3 versions, one that's kind of cheaper and one that's more effects heavy. So
say something like this, Anthony, how long would it take you to draw and sketch a scene like this?
This took about, I would say, I can't go back. All the images I just showed you, it all took a week. So
Okay.
This one with this one, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Sorry, a week was just the ideation.
Right.
And then the next week was to, except for this one. This one's not part of that.
Because you had to give them options, right? So you had to do more than one.
Yeah. So I just wanted to zoom in so you could see there's not much detail, because for this one, the important thing was the action.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask you next. How detailed these have to be. Obviously, you're trying to convey a lot. You try to convey action, story, environment. I mean, so many things.
Yeah, like this one's not a lot of detail, but the thing is, it's clear. You have to have really clear ideas, and then I think that's how it would get seen better and approved faster, or not approved. But one tip I would say: do not worry about your stuff not being approved. It's still important to be able to show production that this is something they don't want to go that route, and that's just as important. And I got that advice from one of my first jobs when they told me, when I wasn't getting stuff approved, and Alec Gillis, the owner of ADI, said to me that it's still very important to know which direction not to go to. So I still help the production. Sorry, just gonna drink water.
It's fine. It's fine. Thank you for taking a break. It's really interesting how you say that, you're trying to focus on the idea, not so much on detail. I imagine for artists starting out, especially those, trying to perfect their skill, they don't want to present ideas that are rough. They're trying to focus a lot on their technique as well. Is that something that you say they should let go of and just really focus on story and idea?
I would say that in your portfolio, there should be a mix of ideas and really finished stuff. But as a beginner, when you're starting out, you could always get better with your art rendering wise. It's like a muscle you practice, and design is also a muscle you practice. So I would suggest to be designing as often as you're rendering. because in the long run, the ideas really matter, and it will make your imagery more iconic and memorable. Like, yeah, I could zoom in on the detail of this. This one is somewhat detailed, but not so detailed. There's a balance you could strike with. I do have some images that I really detailed it out. Like, this is not that detailed.
In the chat, they're saying that your sketches look like some of their end products. So you may be saying it's not detailed, but it looks very detailed to us. It looks very nice.
Yeah, try to one cool method you can use is painting the base down first, right? You paint the base, the turning of the form, and these little shapes right here, those should be like a hard brush with like no opacity, like just so it's so crisp when you put it down, just crisp. And then you turn that into a selection, and then you paint on top inside, like you mask it out, right, as a selection, and you paint the softness within it. So then at least there's a sharpness to it, even though there's not a lot of detail, but the sharpness of it will make it feel finished. That's what I noticed. Like, you should try. Let's say you're painting this, and it's kind of loose. Just get a hard brush and erase the silhouette. Very hard, right? There's no like softness or anything, and it will feel finished.
Good tip. What are you using usually when you're doing this quick idea sketches and renderings? Are you using Photoshop, Clip Studio? What programs do you use when you're doing this digitally?
I usually use Photoshop, Wacom tablet. And,
of course, you have to throw some Wacom love. Tell us what's your favorite.
It's Wacom. I'm telling you, all my career for 20 years, Wacom has always been I always say Wacom in the beginning. I realized
Wacom is okay. We
it wrong.
Wacom, whatever. Wacom,
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I use, Photoshop in that, and sometimes I use ZBrush. This one doesn't have any ZBrush elements to it. I will share with you some stuff I did ZBrush, and that is really detailed.
If you happen to have somewhere a super early sketch, the chat is curious to see like a really early sketch. If you have some of your earlier work, we're always curious to see, how these masters, how they started. And if you
I'll show
one, and don't be shy. We want to see your evolution.
I'll show it. Okay, I'll show it for sure here. Let me show this one thing before I show that. Look how, again, my way of painting is sometimes I get away with stuff. I need to this is supposed to be more finished than this. But just to show you how rough some parts could be. But then from far away it looks clear because I have the right contrast with with my character in the background. It looks more finished. Although the face, I really went into the face and painted it as realistic as I can.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing.
And yeah, it's like, so you have to have your pixels really high, maybe like 4,000 by 3,000 pixels, just so you could really go into the detail. Sometimes 10,000 pixels if your computer can handle it.
So you add details in the stuff you want to focus on. I guess right here you want you to focus on the face and the expression.
Yes. So that's why I did this, and these are other options for the same guy. Oh
my God, that's awesome! I love all the different options.
Yeah, there's more. Sorry, we're not doing this one, but I gotta show you guys. I have actually sketches here. Okay. All right, let's stay on track, you guys. Sorry.
I know. We get off track, but
I'm too excited sometimes to talk about stuff, especially with an audience that wants to learn more. I really wish we could see you in person. It would be so awesome.
The chat is really disagreeing with you when you say that your work, they're like, oh, it has very little detail, and then you show us and it's like super finished, polished work. What?
I'm just zooming into the polished sides of stuff, but it's a balance. It really does.
It's a balance.
Yeah, sometimes I could show you guys stuff that's the way I consider to be really so finished. I'll look for something here, but I personally like it a little bit rougher, and trust me, you guys, I was the same way too, where I couldn't see what really finished is, before how do you say this? Because my work back then is no, I can't even say that. Sorry. I when I was really younger, I guess my work back then has a certain like indication style that I like, and I couldn't tell how to finish something. But now it's a little bit more finished. Even this is still kind of indicated. Like I would be painting this maybe this close, and this got blurry just because the resolution got low.
Anthony, earlier when you were talking, you said something that stuck with us. You said, it's about working smarter, not harder. Is this kind of what you are trying to explain? It's don't focus too much on the details. It's about, can you elaborate a little bit more about that, in your work, the decisions that you make so that your work is done in a smarter way, not necessarily.
Yes. So the way I think, to work smart. So in the very beginning, I would kind of find out who the characters are, what they're about, right? In the Dora Milaje, I knew one of the characters is a traditional, and she's very strict with African traditions, and the other one is still traditional, but she's more open to change and more open to technology. So I do sketches like this. This is just for me. This is not shown to anybody. And I know you guys wanted to see something like this where there's no detail, just the gesture of the characters, so I could find his personality.
Yeah.
And I gave her circles. I mean, her weapon would be more circular because she's not so rigid. She's open to stuff and not so I guess rigid is the right word. And while
she's fluid and welcoming.
Yes, that's fluid. That's exactly what I needed to say. You're right. And then on the left side, she's gonna have a spear because traditionally that's what the warriors use in tribal Africa. But bringing it to a more modern take, and her stance a little more firm. You got like that triangle, right? Really solid.
I know with very little detail, I can tell who she is already. I mean, of course, I know who you made, but
yeah,
you can see a lot of the character there already.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, there's some noise outside. Yes, that's great. Like if you can see that now I have a good base to start off my design. So it took me a little bit of time to get to this. It's very rough. And then I did like quick color. Sorry, I would sketch it out too.
I love that. I love that you sketch so much detail in the garments.
Yeah, and this one is just in my sketchbook. I have this like a fashion sketchbook where it has these dots to follow. So, and then I would design it head on first, straight on. So I'm just looking at it in terms of how it fits the body. Also, when you were talking about how you have to find out what they do, who they are. Once you find out who they are, you'll know what their abilities are, what weapons do they use, how strong they are, what role in the movie. And then you start knowing these things, then you start asking yourself certain questions that could help you with the design. I think I think it comes down to really asking yourselves the right question to solve the problem. Or yes, find the problem.
You ask the right questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So like for this one, oh, sorry. For this one, I know they needed to move a certain way because they're warriors, so they cannot have outfits that would hamper their movement. Mobility is always very important when doing a Marvel specific costume design. You have to know that first and then go from there. So since I knew that first, you always think of the body form, the very first layer of their costume to be skin tight, right? But then for them to be able to have motion, you shouldn't put too much on their shoulder so they could put on up their arms, and then I started researching. Actually, when I say researching, it's all in my head already because I've done so much warriors that you kind of pull it up in your brain what you want, like the samurai, the Zulu warriors or the tribes from Southeast Asian tribes, Southeast Asian Indian warriors, and then you've got the Native Americans, indigenous population of South and North America, and how they move and how so it's so much research. I love this stuff, Incas, Mayas, ancient civilizations. Sorry if I'm rambling a little bit.
No, we love it. But tell us, Anthony, so you have complete freedom to pull from all of these influences that are in your hair, in your head and in your heritage. But are you, do you have like a list in this brief that they give you? Do you have a list like this garment or this character should have a garment that looks, ethnic and warrior-like, or that's something that you decide for yourself?
That's something I decide for myself, but I would say the source material is always in the comic books. So for a Marvel film, we're all just recreating what the comic books already have. So that would be my first inspiration. Christopher Priest, he's the guy who created the Dora Milaje, and we have there's an artist, I forgot his name, that drew, designed the first versions of the Dora Milaje in their more like I guess tribal wear and more scantily clad. And since I'm transferring it to film, what I had to do was try to still keep that feeling of warrior, a tribal warrior, traditional warrior, into something more modern. So I would say these designs are not even what you have in the comic books. It's just it's almost like a translation of what they had in the comic books, because now the comic book design in the comic books changed, and it looks more like my designs I did for film. Plus with this one, we started this so early on that the director didn't have a full script yet, Brian Coogler, and we're still searching on how things would look like. Costume designer wasn't on board yet, so it was at the very beginning, and yeah, you just say, usually you just get, okay, you're gonna design the Dora Milaje, and they're gonna be in this location, and this is what's happening, and you don't even know if the script is done yet, and then you kind of go with the flow with that, and you kind of wow, the more I explain it, the more I realize it really is self-sufficient. You got to be self-sufficient and plan out how things would look like, even though you're in the dark, and of course, one way to do that is to really look at the comic books. But in my case, for this one, I just started sketching them out already. I already had something in my head that I wanted, and an image of the Dora Milaje, like a comic book cover of how they look like in the comic books. So at least I could kind of take some parts, some centerpieces from that, and then transfer it to my design. Like the bald head, you have to have that. That's in the comic book. And what else? They have like this skirt that, but then you see a lot of skin, so I had to try to figure out how to come up with a design that makes it look like they're showing skin, but they're not.
Right.
Yeah.
So Anthony, we love all this detail, and you start with so little. I guess concept developers and concept illustrators have to be very comfortable with ambiguity, because a lot of it is still developing around you while you're supposed to come up with ideas.
Yes.
A lot of the chat here is wondering, because some of these costume designs are very, very good. Did you go to fashion school? Did you take some sort of, do you have a background in fashion? Is that what I'm asking, I guess? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, actually, I do love fashion. I at one point I wanted to try to be a fashion designer, but during those times 20 years ago, I'm a guy. Usually females do. That's the bad way of thinking, right? Now it's a little more, you can do anything you want.
That is not a great way of thinking, but yes, I think you should maybe go into fashion design, Anthony. I don't know. That has changed. 20 years ago, you didn't want to. Well,
I would love to. I think I may have a co-collaborator that could help me actually make these clothes, So,
well, I love that you're showing the background, because I know that this costume in particular for Black Panther got a lot of awards, and I know that it's one of my favorite characters as well. I want to ask you if you can jump over, because we have so many fans in the chat that love Baby Groot.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, are we gonna talk about Baby Groot? We love we love everything, but I'm sorry, Anthony. Baby Groot gets you want Baby Groot. Can we switch over to Baby Groot?
We'll do it. We will. Okay, I will. Here, let me move over.
Well, I don't want to rush you. If you still have more to add with that and the background and all the steps that it took you to develop that amazing costume, please go and elaborate more. I'm just letting you know what the chat is asking.
That's awesome. Actually, like that. Oh, okay. So what I could do is I will go a little bit more quicker here, just so you guys can see some of the stuff. I know I'm answering.
Show us.
I'm answering questions and showing at the same time, but I won't talk about it as much. But this is like a cocktail dress that I was designing for him, and I was looking at different ways of showing jewelry and where that armor can come out of. So this is the one that they like, that kind of got approved, and these are other versions, blue versions that feel more tribal.
And Anthony, tell me, you wanted to create the illusion of showing skin, but not showing so much skin because she's a warrior, and also because you have to, have a realistic armor, right?
Yes, and we don't want to, I'm all about like women empowerment and not having to objectify like certain parts of the body, because like the old comic books and stuff, and I wanted to really come up with something that is realistic, like you're saying, but still fierce and sexy, at the same time. You don't have to show skin for that, I think, and it turns out that that's kind of what the production liked, and Ryan Coogler didn't want to show skin, so I was like, wow, okay, it's perfect. We're thinking at the same wavelength. So when I showed the stuff, like these are other options. Like when I showed these ones, they were liking this a lot. That it's all covered. See how it's all covered, and only the head is here. So I could go deeper in this, just show some of the detail here.
I think you guys achieved that so well, because of course, to me, she still looks very, very sexy, very powerful, very
Yeah.
edgy, but very empowered. Like she's owning
Yes.
it, right? And not objectified at all. I really like it.
Like even just having this come down here, but cutting it a little higher to kind of represent that skin, but it's not, right? It's an armored skin. So that's kind of like what I was testing out. It's almost like you're researching and testing out different shapes and forms to see what works and what doesn't.
I can tell you really like drawing clothes.
Oh, you can tell. Thanks. Well, in this one in particular, for some reason, these kind of beading, I really love. I love to figure that out because when I was younger in the Philippines, my family, my aunts and stuff, they have a lot of African like ornaments and just even Filipino tribal beadings and stuff. Those friendship bracelets.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the stuff I like. So I put a lot of that stuff in here. I felt like this is a good opportunity, to do this. Even this neck thing, initially I had it looking like one of those longer neck. I forgot which tribe that was. Of course, it couldn't work, but I just liked the visual, and then I slowly designed it to be more realistic. I don't have those sketches here.
And this was back when, like none of it was casted. You had no idea what you were working with. You were just imagining the character in your head.
Yes. Yeah. I actually painted, the first person I thought of was Denai Guerrera. I painted this head. I was like, I didn't know if she'll get chosen, but I thought she would be the best, Dora Milaje. Here I'm showing you guys some of the detail here. This is more detailed than the other stuff I'm doing. This painting, but here is some photo, like I use photography references to build this necklace, or even just these pearl things. I know I painted these circular stuff here, but it was kind of, I was building through these photo pieces I found somewhere, and I was just building it myself. This armor is painted, obviously, and even these are painted. But see these beads right here? These beads, I cut each one out and then I arranged it. So I would have this pattern.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but what's nice is after you get the first line like this, and then I just cut and paste, cut and paste all the way down, and then just lower the contrast so it doesn't jump out too much, But from far away, you don't really see it. but when they start building the product, then it really helps, because this is so high. Like this one, I pieced all that together. I'll show you guys the reference that I used.
That is insane. That is beautiful. Thank you for showing us.
So when they saw this, Ryan Coogler, I heard from a story that he really loved it and he almost fell off his seat. And then Ryan Meinerding was saying, high five, we got it. The only thing, there's one little problem, Anthony. I know you didn't notice this, but look, the feet, I cut the feet off.
Oh my God. Anthony, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, but I was thinking, maybe actually it's not intentional, but I was thinking, maybe I could get away with not doing the feet, because and I go, oh man, I gotta do the feet. So I did the next one. These are other versions, and then another one. So Ryan's like, Meinerding, the head of visual development, who go, okay, these are good, but you haven't done the feet yet.
Oh my God.
I go, how about this one? And I was just like trolling him already. This again. Okay, don't. Just trying other versions of it. See this same thing? I cut and pasted some stuff there, and then eventually I got. Oh, I still didn't do the feet here.
You were just really avoiding the feet. There.
Yes, there it is. I finally did it, and just to show you guys, I had a very clear idea what I wanted the feet to look like. That's why it's very detailed. I wanted the split toe, boot. And because during this time, me and my wife did a lot of running. And she was trying those shoes. You know those shoes for running that's like toed shoes?
Oh yeah, they're like toe like feet gloves.
Yeah. It's so I saw that. Plus, all of this design is based on a samurai, so those kind of warriors. So the first thing I was trying to think of is how do I make this iconic design, and then what warrior in the world is so iconic to me that almost everybody knows what a samurai is. So that's how I set that goal, that I want to do something like a samurai, but for Wakanda and for Africa, really, like because Africa had the Maasai, right? The Maasai tribe so like popular, and Zulu, I guess, that warrior Shaka Zulu, or the Zulu nation. And then but the parts that I like to use was the Dinka tribe was one of the most important ones that I used, because I've been like looking at that for a while, ever since I started my career. And you'll see for this corset is this reference that I have here. I'm going to show you. This is my reference board. So definitely the samurai armors here. These
rings, I guess.
Rings, yeah. Yeah, and this is the one. This is my
wow.
This corset is, it doesn't look like what I have, but it's my inspiration,
I see it, Anthony. I see a little bit.
You can see it? Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
I can totally see the texture.
Yes, the texture.
I see where the inspiration was drawn from. And I love that you make these sort of vision boards and stuff for the garment. I think it was a monumental task to have to dress Dora Milaje, and I think surpassed all expectations. That's amazing.
I really appreciate that. This board actually came after the fact, because I had to do a talk at Disney with the guys, the whole VizDev team did a talk. They wanted to know how we designed Black Panther characters, and this is specifically for the Dora Milaje. I put this together, trying to remember all the stuff I was thinking. Even
you have African and Filipino cultures and samurai, Japanese, all merge. Native American patterns. That's crazy.
And this thing called the bahag, how they put that together, like how that goes over on top of this other thing. And if you notice this is what I was trying to solve right here.
Yeah.
I just extended this up here because, everyone has a certain body type. And by extending it up here, I was able to lengthen the legs. That's something that, when you do costume design, you have to think about their body type and how, without altering in your painting, without altering their actual body type, how do you alter it based on just the costume composition?
That's amazing. I never thought of that. You guys are also responsible somehow, indirectly, making people like Tom Cruise look taller. I don't like that.
Yeah.
We don't want him to look taller.
I know. I don't look tall. Yeah.
But anyway, I love that you were even taking that into consideration, the body shape. And also you already know the storyline. So you know what's going to happen. So you know that they're going to have to have movement and certain. So how many garments did you design for this particular character?
It was just that. That was my task, was to come up with their Dora Milaje costume. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's all. And then some other people came up with the other costumes they have in the show. I did some Shuri costumes, but I didn't have time to do this and that one. So Tully Summers actually worked on that Shuri costume. And Konstantin Sekeres, another both amazing artists. So yeah, and then I did keyframe stuff after that. Was there any questions before I move on to what everybody wants?
We have some questions. While you switch over to whatever you're gonna show us next, I'm gonna switch over to some questions. Hey, chat, send me some over your questions. I already asked you a few regarding your, how long it takes you to sketch, all that stuff. It really depends on what you're sketching. A lot of questions regarding, how you came to Marvel, how getting hired at Marvel happened. Obviously, we have a lot of people here watching who are aspiring Marvel artists or want to know what it takes to be at Marvel.
Yes. I know I do get a lot of those questions a lot.
I know, right?
Yeah, how to get to Marvel. It's a long road. And first you have to really love comic books, right? That will help you when you design these characters to stay true to how you feel the character. Sometimes I design based on like feeling more than anything. Then that would inform my design sometimes. But loving the characters is important because, there's some back in the day, in the past, when they're trying to make like, superhero movies, they would change the whole costume, right? But with the new Marvel now, we try to stay true to the source material. So I guess a few things to consider when you're trying to apply for Marvel is that the level of quality of the work needs to be really high. And when I say that, that means the finish of it needs to be very clear. Like I would say as clear as this, if possible. And that could mean different ways of accomplishing it through photo manipulation and maybe piecing together photos mixed with painting stuff. Because sometimes when you look at this, like, this is not a photo. It kind of looks like one already, but it's painted. It's just painted a little clearer than normal, so it's easy to use for the costume once the costume department gets it. Definitely clarity of design, good ideas, and painting materials really clearly, painting faces good, understanding lighting, because understanding lighting will help with doing keyframe art, because you'll have to know character design and keyframe design. So what's with the keyframe design is the storytelling aspect of it. You want to show acting and how you block off a shot. And aside from doing that, you have to be able to show how the world could look like. So it's still part of concept art, part of solving the production's visual problems. And the stuff I've been talking about, like, I know it's just stories. Some of the stories, that's one way you can learn on what experiences you need to put yourself into to be in a situation where you have to solve those kind of problems. And if you're not in that situation, just give yourself a problem to solve like that. Like, okay, I'm going to do time travel. How do I do time travel in the fantasy world? How would that look like? And then you look through all the fantasy artwork or movies and see what makes that like fantastical, which pieces do that, and then kind of use those visual keys to add to your design, so you have the proper theme for the movie. It's really hard. Having 20 pieces of character designs would be good. 10 to 20, depending. 10 would be good if it's so finished and rendered. But that's just for character, guys. There's some people that do ZBrush, and they could show that in their portfolio.
So there's many ways, you're saying. There's many
Yeah.
ways to come into Marvel,
Yeah.
but ultimately you'll need strong ideas, a strong portfolio, a love, and unbending on yielding love of comics and
Yes.
understanding of comics culture. But obviously consistency, because imagine just here in the chat, we have about 300 people, and so many of you want to join Marvel. So
Yeah.
the competition is intense. So you have to be very,
Yes.
very consistent, not just if you don't get it that first time, you got to keep knocking.
That is very important, because sometimes you may think you're not good and not, and wait too long to have something so finished, I wouldn't suggest to do that. I think it's better to still keep putting your stuff in. I would say, though, do not turn your stuff in multiple times if it has no big change to it. Like
Right.
if you have 5 pieces and you show the same 5 pieces but more finished, don't do that. It should just be 10 pieces now, but more finished, or 10 keyframes, because within a keyframe you could design the character inside the keyframe. And I showed you guys some examples of that, I think.
In terms of education, we had some questions in the chat regarding, what did you study? What kind of field do you go to if you want to be a concept designer? Does Marvel look at, if you went to university versus if you're a self-taught artist? Does that matter for somebody like Marvel?
Just to let you guys know, I didn't finish college, so
you don't need
you don't need to have good grades. It's only really your portfolio that matters. Also, sometimes it's the connections you make as you grow in the industry also works in your favor, because everyone would get to certain positions in different companies and they could hire you also based on the talent they know you have. This is an image I did for my Filipino folklore series that I'm doing. And this one of the images I showed Marvel. It has story in it in the keyframe, and it has design. So this is before I went to Marvel. So just so you guys could see how certain parts have detail and other parts are not as detailed.
So this is a piece of work that you included in the portfolio that you showed to Marvel.
Yes. Oh, this is so interesting. That is something that could be cool to do, is to show the exact pieces I had in my portfolio so everyone can kind of gauge where they are with that, huh?
Well, a lot of people are wondering, how do I get my foot into a place like Marvel? And, with no point of reference, a lot of people may already be at the level that Marvel would consider them, but they just don't know. We have a lot of questions in the chat. I know that you already covered, Dora, but I missed this question earlier. And now they're asking about, they really like how you paint dark skin. This is not a webinar about painting, but I want you to really quickly just, if you can give any tips on, painting dark skin. A lot of viewers struggle with that.
Yeah, it's starting dark already, starting dark and having more saturation, I guess, with the warmth and stuff. Hold on a second, let me see.
Yeah.
Why here?
Thank you for showing us. I know this is not a painting webinar, but there's an overwhelming amount of questions, and I'm all about the chat because our friends are so excited to see you. And if you have any tips regarding painting black or dark skin, that would be amazing.
Yeah. I actually have reference. Usually is important, having a really good reference to copy off of. But let me see if I could.
And just so you guys know, because I've also been hearing questions about what tablet you use. I believe, Anthony, because we just sent him one, you're using a Cintiq 22?
Yes, I'm using this. Well, it's connected to my other monitor, so sometimes I use it as a, just to draw on it. And sometimes, oh no, sorry. I use it looking down on it. But sometimes I use it the
As a
other way.
tablet?
Yes,
Yeah.
the tablet. I think it helps me just change some positioning, right? It helps with the
Yeah.
hand. Yeah.
It's funny because so many people want to, buy a Cintiq because they don't want to be doing that back and forth motion, but you're saying you use it as a tablet sometimes.
Yes, yes.
So check it out, guys. He's starting with a really dark base.
Yeah. This, I don't know how good this is going to turn out because I have no reference, but we're going to try. So dark base, and then from here, I could add some saturation, because if you go too light, you won't like keep that kind of richness, I guess, of the skin, and a little purpley, I guess. Another thing you can do is you could also just have a layer on top and change that to an overlay or a color layer. As long as you have the right value in there, if you put a brown like this, see how, because it's dark underneath,
Yeah.
it won't feel so, and then you could even paint underneath that layer and see how far you could, in black and white. Sorry, it has to be like how far you could take it. So this one is too light already, right? So that's why I have to start in a darker, lower than the medium, and then just build it up from there.
Yeah, it's the blending and layering that make it look realistic.
Yes, and the gradation for sure. Then when you turn, the form turns, you could make it more saturated, like if I do this. So when it's turning, it gets more saturated, like under the nose or where the eyes are, or under the hair. So it will be more saturated here, but not too dark. Sorry, I keep on. Yeah, so you guys can see here.
So I know you said that you didn't go to school, or that you didn't finish school, but while you were in school, what did you study? Did you take art courses, or did you focus? Are you mostly a self-taught artist? Did you at least take some art classes?
I actually did. I went to associates in art. Instead of going to a accredited like school, I went to this smaller school that has professionals teaching. So it's like I didn't care about grades anymore. I just cared about being really good at what I, getting a good teacher to teach me.
You want you want you to be employable as quick as possible.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that was like the main goal, is to. Sorry, guys. Again, reference is so important.
Yeah, the chat is definitely. We're enjoying watching the process, but yeah, we understand that it's challenging without a reference.
Yeah, it definitely is. But one tip I could definitely say with this is when you get to the darker areas, it gets more saturated, and that's how you get the colors to feel more lively, I guess. And and then like this, like in the highlight areas, instead of just going up lighter like this and it gets kind of chalky, you should try like putting blue, like blue, and then mixing that in and seeing how that kind of fits in. And then this one going more red, and so like with the nose,
yeah.
it also actually helps to put this blue in the background, just so you could, because when you paint something, you have to, it's relative to what it is beside of. And once you put another color that it's reflecting, then it will feel more realistic.
That's a great tip. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it really helps.
When you added that blue, I was like, oh no, what is he doing? And now I'm like, oh, why did I doubt you? Of course it was gonna look good.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I struggled back then, like doing that, like this blue on the hair, but it will adjust more and more as you go along. Because then if I just did a yellow now, this yellow, let's say, and then beside that yellow is a blue, like there's this richness to it that feels more, I can't even say if it's realistic, it just feels right. And then if it feels too muted, then you could do a layer on top with hue saturation and just increase the saturation. See how it increases it? And I feel like, oh, this is the color really that I like that. And then you go on top of it again and then start.
Oh, wow.
That feels right, right?
I'm switching back and forth to the chat. And I really wish the colors that I'm seeing here translated to the chat, because it's a little bit paler over there, but you're nailing it. It looks really nice, guys. Actually, it's the same. It's just because of the screen. I'm watching the chat through a browser, so that's why it's a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you for showing us. That's great. That was such an improvised ask, but thank you. We got a lot of questions regarding, painting dark skin when we saw the concept art for Dora.
Yeah. I've been trying to practice more painting, darker skin or Filipino skin, like that kind of rich, dark, reddish skin tones that it's hard to kind of find the balance for it. Also with even darker skin, you could also use, like, after you get this base, you could do like a multiply layer and then go a little more on the purple side, because like Black people's skin sometimes have this kind of darkness to it. Mm-hmm. And that purple highlights that it could catch. And this is on a multiply layer. Mm-hmm. Then you just lighten opacity and see where you want that to be. Yeah, it's really fun. Like, once you start painting, it's like, oh,
I know it's cool. Therapeutic. I'm like, I know we didn't sign up for a painting
a painting demo. Yeah, anyway, this is one way to do it. Hopefully that answers some questions. It's too quick though, but
these are some great, just a great exercise that you can do on your own. Do you recommend playing with color like this and sketches, like quick sketches like this, where you don't erase, you just continue to create?
Yes, kind of see what happens when you go on top of each stroke, for practice. Definitely for the Dora Milaje, when I was doing that, I was actually really experimenting with it. That's why the colors, I feel like, came out pretty cool. But normally there's a certain process I would do that's safer. That was not a safe process, like doing it in black and white and then doing a color layer on top,
Well, thank you so much for showing us. You can continue. You can move on with what you were going to show us with Baby Groot and Guardians of the Galaxy, which we also have questions about. And obviously, we love Baby Groot, and we want to know how he came to be.
Yes. So with Baby Groot, this is very dear to my heart because it is based on my kids a little bit. I had to always think about them and to have that uplifting feeling, that happiness, right? And then continue to try to transfer that feeling into like a cute baby. So I'll show you from the beginning. It's like this is how Baby Groot started.
Oh,
After the adult Groot died, I guess, piece of him started growing, and then we wanted. James Gunn was wondering how it would look like after it grew in a pot, right? I didn't know how the pot was going to look like yet, and I didn't know, is he a plant? Is he what kind of alien is he? Is it a tree? So I just thought spores. He could be spores. And I was trying different versions of it, and some of these are okay. Some of it are really rough, like this. This is like my asparagus Groot. So as vegetarian, trying to become vegetarian.
oh my God. Look at the evolution of Groot. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, and then more I was trying to mix certain types of animals, like an octopus with mushrooms. How would that look like? Mixing those together, and the hamburger helper Groot. It's like a hamburger face Groot. The idea for this was, I was thinking it was growing into an alien, but you've got these what do you call it? Like this is what it needs to eat around it to give it nourishment while it's growing up.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then the zombie Groot.
Oh my goodness. How can Groot? That is a scary Groot.
Yeah, yeah. This is the time when I watched a lot of Walking Dead. And then
I can see it. I can see The Walking Dead.
And then I started another version where maybe it could be Groot in more like a tree bark, just like emerging from it. So as the process goes along, I'm trying to understand.
Like nice looking. He's not that mean.
Yes. Like if he was emerging from the bark.
Oh, I like that one too.
He's coming out, and I'm Groot. Like he looks more like the adult Groot. And James Gunn wanted like make it simple, like a head on a stick. So I would literally first try to put a head on a stick, and then design out of that and see how far I could use that idea before I kind of what's the word when you the resources when you finish it all off, that was the word,
when you complete it, when
exhaust all the resources.
all the resources. Yeah. Yes,
like in my brain, exhaust all my resources on this one idea with this bark and this face coming out of it. Get as many ideas as I can. If I can't anymore, I won't stick around him, or I'll go to the next one. And then the next one is this with Groot with a face, a stick with a face in it. And it's like, I am Groot.
Oh my God.
I am Groot. So yeah, that's
so many
one.
iterations. I mean, they're all so unique and beautiful. And wow. I'm glad I was not part of that choosing committee, because I don't know.
And then this one was like, what if he had a lot of heads on this stalk? I even would kind of design the dirt and what kind of rock it would be on. I was making it too alien looking, and I forgot they had to be cute. But I'm working my way through it, right? This one's another Groot coming out of more of a plant. Remember earlier, it was more of a bark, right? Mm-hmm. And I think I remember James Gunn saying, he's not a tree, he's a plant. When he's younger, I guess, and when he gets older, he has more barks. And there's another zombie coming out. Yeah, and then this started developing, and from all that stuff coming to making him cuter, bigger eyes, until this became the final, that James liked. It took like a week to do all of this, and finally it's this one he liked, and then this approved it. Just cut off the like the flower there, and this is what you see on screen. But they did a much better job making him look so much cuter. So I'm just like the beginning of the pipeline, you know.
But you saw, I mean, you had nothing to go out of. You went so many different directions, and they're all so smart and cute and crazy and bizarre. I love them.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of like the problem solving we have to go through being a concept artist. You're usually thrown into a situation where there is no visuals. At Marvel, especially, because if it's an alien thing, there really is none, you know? But
Anthony, when you're developing these options, are you thinking, like, when you're trying to give your team options, do you go with a safe option, a crazy option, and in the middle option? Do you try to do that, or do you
just... Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's what you want to do. One that you know will work. You know, the boring option, like, oh, this is a given. This is easy. Anybody could come up with this idea, you know, something like that. But I need to put it down still, because that might be something they like. And then do crazier versions of, you know, like the time travel or the Doctor Strange versus Thanos ideas. Those got pretty crazy. You know, planets colliding, black holes, and two black holes, you know, and then what does that do? But for this kind of stuff, it really depends on what it does in the script. Does he have to dance? And in this point with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, the opening sequence, he has to be able to dance. But the idea, he's still a toddler, so he has to feel like a toddler.
How old is he here in the one previously, or right there? Is he?
They're toddlers, so toddler is what, 0 to 2, I think, years old.
Okay, so he's literally a baby. He's a baby.
Yeah, baby. So he has diapers, but the thing is, he doesn't move like a baby. Really, he's like a 6-year-old when you watch in the theaters, right? He's not really a baby because a baby walks a certain way. And I think initially I was having some difficulty because of the toddler direction, you know, and I was just looking at toddlers when I realized toddlers can't move the way he moves. So I needed to design his body based on how he needs to move and still feel like he's young, you know. So I was coming up with some of these ideas, and you know, my son, he became my inspiration body type for this. So this is how it started with this first, and then and it grew to this. Pretty much my son at 3 years old, I copied his body like exactly, even the size of his head, because at his age he was still like, he was moving so much. I mean, you saw the video, right? That was, I think he was 3 that time.
Wow, you're right. They have bigger heads at that age.
Yeah, they have bigger heads, but he doesn't have a big head. My son. No. Yeah, so he moves a certain way, and then that's how this came to be, and then more versions of him here.
Did you show all of these? Did the director see all these versions?
This one, yes, he saw all the versions. Yeah. He actually really liked the direction I'm going already. I think I had a good hand on the pulse, I guess I could say, on how he likes stuff at this point. Needs to be funny and cute and feel like, you know, a tree, but not feeling old. Some of the challenges that I had to go through and detailing it enough. I mean, here I even put reflection on the eyes, just so maybe that could add to his character or the moment that what's happening. But yeah, he saw this, he liked this, but he said the arms were kind of too long. So I did another version with this one. And this is the one that they liked. James really always came back to this. This is the one I like. And even the math, this is even very sketchy. I still needed to finish it off more. But I think I got the right shape for the head, and the relationship between them two. I wanted to really show. This is really rough. Normally, this has to be finished more than this. But James likes sketches too, and he could see how it could be finished. When we were talking earlier on how finished a design could be, sometimes if you know how the director's preferences, right? You could like play to that too. But he said he wanted him to be smaller like this and on his shoulder like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that's what it ended up being. And then here's the 3D model. Josh Herman helped with, putting this together. He modeled it. It's really cool. And then I had to design the back at this point. Then with the model, I did different takes on the colors. And then for the final, for the finale of the show, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he needed to be a little older, but we didn't know how old exactly. He was supposed to be 10 or a tween. And my son was actually my reference for this again.
Oh, that's adorable. I love it.
So this exactly, he looked at me like that and I go, that's it, don't move. I took a picture of him and yeah, and even the gesture of his body here. And then here, different hairstyles. Okay. And here he gets even older because we didn't know. Again, it was like a range. Like, how old should he be? A teenager,
right.
Young? And one information we got later on is he needed to be at he needed to be in Endgame. So Infinity War, sorry. He needed to be in Infinity War and Endgame. So I had to come up with a design that would also be used for Infinity War and Endgame. So this is where this was happening. But they said he's too young here. I'll just show you some of the detail. When you get the art of, how to paint the Marvel way, how to paint the Marvel Studios way, you'll see some step-by-steps I did for this in that book, as well as all the other artists in our team were in there. And when we did that book, it's such an amazing feeling because, I used to look at how to draw the Marvel way,
Yeah. A lot of people, I can tell you, just managing Wacom's community, a lot of people ask for tutorials like that. I want to learn to draw the Marvel way. So maybe we need to bring you.
Oh, yeah.
We need to bring you so we can share part of it because we can share all of it. You have your own classes, right? You also teach. You have your course.
Yes. I do have a course in Wacom Academy. If you guys ever want to check it out, I talk about how I design creatures, and I have a specific kind of way of looking at 80% this, 20%, another creature, and then, 80%, 15%, and 5%. That's how like a hierarchy you would have. But yeah, if anybody's interested, go to my Instagram, and I have a link. Like what do you call that? Those link tree.
You have a link tree? Yeah, absolutely. We will invite everybody to check it out. This was, a talk with an inspiring talk and a look into the concept development process behind these characters. Not a painting class, but I'm sure if you are inspired by Anthony, you want to learn from him. So if you want to check out his course, or maybe you can write to our team and maybe we can bring him back for another webinar. If you want Anthony back, say it in the chat. Maybe my team will get excited and bring you back again for an actual painting webinar.
Yeah, that would be very different. Yeah, I used to teach creature character design in Nomen and Art Center. Actually, I taught there a little bit. I would like to ask the chat, which one do they like the most?
Oh my God, yes, chat. Let us know of all the versions, of all the iterations that Anthony developed. Which one was your favorite? I'm so curious.
How about with just this one? Number 1 hairstyle, number 2 hairstyle, or number 3 hairstyle?
Which one do you like of these ones? I know we saw a lot of them, but of these ones that you're seeing on screen right now, which ones? Oh my God, a lot of saying number 2, emo Groot. Yeah.
Emo Groot, yes. I must
number
say,
3, number 1. Oh my God, they're split. I can't decide. 3, 3, 3. Oh my God, a lot of number 3.
Yeah, you know, the funny
thing
thing
is, the emo one. The number 1 is
the winner. This is the winner.
We have almost 300 people here, and I think they are, I don't know. I think 3. I think 3 is the absolute winner.
So far, with all the places I did the talks to, this talk, I've done it like 7 times already. And the emo Groot always gets
the emo one. Well,
yeah,
I like number 1, you know.
Yeah, number 1.
Number 1, I think it's mine, but the chat disagrees. The chat is actually split. But they want you back for a painting webinar, which I think we should do because we're out of time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, okay. We're out of time. Can you believe it? We've been together for 2 hours with a little minor hiccup at the beginning, but we're...
Wow.
Yeah, it's Anthony, you're such an inspiration. I want to ask you, what's next for Anthony? I know that you've been at Marvel for 10 years. You have a lot of projects heading your way. What's exciting you right now? What can we expect from you coming up?
Well, right now I've been working on my series that I'm putting together about Filipino folklore and some other ideas that I can't talk about yet. But in development, I'm writing these stuff out and trying to pitch it to different places like Netflix, but I will have an announcement soon, which is very exciting. I can't talk about it yet, but I can't wait to share it with you guys. When you have me back, we could talk about that and how I went through putting together a pitch package, putting together a script, an outline, a show Bible, into making my own show and then kind of shopping it around. I'd love, if anybody's interested in talking about that, I would love to share that with you guys.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely. I would love it. Please follow Anthony Francisco on Instagram. He's showing us his Instagram account right now. Anthony is also very active on his social media, and he often does live sessions where he shares where he interviews other artists that he's friends with. Yes. He always has amazing interviews with amazing, not just concept designers, but artists in all disciplines. So please check him out if you want to learn a little bit more about the industry, professionals working in the industry. And he's so generous. If you ask him questions directly on his Instagram, I'm so sure he's going to answer your questions.
Oh, man. Yes, I will. Here, I'm going to show you guys this guy before we go.
Who is that? Oh my God.
It's Abomination in Shang-Chi.
Oh, I love it.
So see, this is not as finished, but overall. And last guy, Wenwu. Here's Wenwu for you guys.
That is wonderful. The entire chat is saying, thank you so much, Anthony. Muchas gracias. If you haven't yet, please go visit when it's safe. Go visit us in Latin America. We have a lot of people from Brazil watching here. Please go explore Latin American cultures, and I'm sure you're going to come back so inspired. You're going to create your next amazing award-winning costume design.
There's so much richness, I'm telling you. Yeah, it's so much. I hope it'll be easier to travel later on because I want to visit all the places.
Well, I can tell you, you're going to be very welcome. Latinos and Filipinos have a lot in common. We love you guys. And we love you, Anthony Francisco. Thank you so much for helping me inspire my team, inspire our community. Guys, Wacom Academy Day 3 is a wrap with Anthony Francisco Art. Thank you so much for joining us for the entire day. Tomorrow we're back. Regresamos mañana. Los esperamos a todos. No olviden participar en el concurso.
Okay, so we're going to be back tomorrow, and we hope to see you back with us tomorrow. And I hope that you make the best use of all of the discounts and promotions we have. So we'll wait for you tomorrow in Wacom Academy. Thanks to our sponsors for making this a possibility. And thanks to Anthony Francisco.
Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you, Chad. Thank you so much, Wacom Academy.
Thank you, everyone.
It's a wrap.
Bye.